What?
Yeah.
I had no clue.
This is the thing that like nobody knows about me because it's from a different universe.
Welcome to ActiveCast, a podcast about exercise and training for streamers, gamers, and people with sedentary jobs. I am your host, Marcus, or Fahloin as a handle on Twitch and other platforms. As usual, I would appreciate a lot if you like, rate, and review the podcast whenever you listen to it. It helps the podcast greatly, so thank you. And thank you so much for listening. In this episode, we will talk to BlindIRL. Blind is a Canadian content creator focusing on Twitch and YouTube. He's also the host of the podcast Halcyon Frequency. Blind plays a lot of old school Ascii games and also have a large interest in music. During our talk, Blind surprises me with his training history, and he has a really interesting and good approach to what movement and exercise can be. Recently, he got diabetes, and we talk a little about how that affects his possibility to exercise. We also talk a little about gym culture and alternatives for it, especially when you don't have room for all the equipment at home. So let's listen to what Blind has to share with us. Hello there, Blind. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. I think this is our second attempt at doing this because the first time my internet just got shut off, like kind of the literal second we joined the call. But I'm ready for a second attempt, and yeah, doing well.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, it was amazing. I saw your face, and then it clipped. So
yeah, it was like the perfect possible time to shut the internet off for it to be kind of funny, but also very annoying. So.
Yeah, but now we're here. It's early morning for you, right?
Not that early. It's almost 10 o'clock in the morning.
All right, that's fair. Because we are in different time zones. So it's evening for me now, almost 7 p.m. So
yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about exercising and training in the perspective of a streamer and a gamer. And so can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself? Who are you? Promote yourself a little bit. What are you doing?
So my name's Blind. I'm a full-time content creator on the internets. I play video games that most people haven't heard of, and I put up videos on my YouTube channel of them. I also stream Way Too Much Dwarf Fortress and other games that people haven't heard of on twitch.tv/BlindIRL. That's generally what I do. I complain about music genres and get oddly specific about video game genres. And I also host the Halcyon Frequency podcast. So that's kind of the hats that I wear currently.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Allegedly. I don't know. I keep adding more to the pile.
Yeah, it tends to go that way. But yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like the person I know you as. And so BlindIRL, that's your handle on Twitch, right?
Yeah.
And also on Twitter and so on.
But you can find me there under that name almost anywhere.
Yeah, but we will put some links to your places in the show notes. And also you as you said, you host a podcast for that's your Twitch team, right? That has that podcast. Yeah, so you kind of know the drill on doing this.
Well, I don't know. I've been making content in some form or another for almost 10 years now. So it's just kind of been an ongoing part of my life. It's weird that I'm like saying content because I generally hate that term, but like I've been creating entertainment and stuff for people on the internet for almost a decade. So at this point, a lot of this stuff is just routine for me.
Yeah. That's a long time. It's a lot of experience in you then.
It sneaks up on you. You don't really realize it. Like, what even is experience? I don't know what the value of it is necessarily. It's just what I've been doing for the past 10 years.
That's a valid question, though. I never thought about that because I always think that, okay, that's experience is a good thing. I take experience every day instead of like education in school or something. But it's a good question. What is the experience anyway?
To me, at this point, it just means that I'm better at tolerating people that are annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus like 5 years ago, I was way worse at it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you get a pretty thick skin when you're out there on the internets and doing stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
You said that you this is actually how I found you. The first time I actually come in contact with you, were you playing, you're streaming Dwarf Fortress, and it's an amazing game. But
it's an art piece.
it's an art piece, but it's made of Ascii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the games that I grew up playing were Ascii, right? Like I played ADOM before it had a tile set, which is Ancient Domains of Mystery, which had a very unfortunate sequel called Ultimate ADOM, which came out relatively recently. I played Moria back in the day. I played Angband. I played more recently. I've played games like Brogue. I've played Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Like a lot of these games were all Ascii in like the late 2000s, and they fit on my thumb drive because I didn't have internet until like 2005, 2006. And when I did get internet, it was the slowest dial-up you could possibly imagine. So the way I got games before that was I would go over to my friend's house and I would get games from Sweden, so the Pirate Bay, or wherever you download games. And I would put them on my MP3 player at the time, which was 128 megabytes. And I would bring games from my friend's house to my house over the span of about 6 weeks. So you start to find games that were really small that could that you could fit like 5 of them on there. So I found like all these open source projects and all these old games that had always like never had graphics. So I could put 4 of them on there. It was great. I'd take them home and I'd have games to play for the next 2 weeks until I could visit my friend again.
It sounds like my like me growing up also, the like small games and trying to find them, and it wasn't as available when I was younger and you then. And I remember now it was Angband. I was playing that at my work actually. And that's why I found you, because I was looking into Ascii games. All right, so we you said that you have been creating content for 10 years. I say that word, I don't like it either. Creating content, content creator is such a buzzword now, but it's actually that what we're doing. We are creating content and we're creating entertainment. Things. Entertainment for people, which is a good thing. And you've done it for a long time. And so that I will take us into the exercise and training part here. Yeah. Can you tell me, do you train or exercise?
So do you want to know my exercise history?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I went to Canada's Summer Games for kayaking.
What?
Yeah.
I had no clue.
So in a previous lifetime, I was an athlete. I used to run half marathons twice a week.
Jesus, what? I didn't know this, Blind. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is a thing that like nobody knows about me because it's from a different universe practically. So like late 2000s into the early teens, for about 6 years, I was a sprint kayaker. All of my coaches were Polish. They all defected during the same Olympics. And like they traveled across Canada and trained up all these Canadian teams. And during the period of time that I was in the sport, we had the Olympic champion, who was Adam Van Coverdon. And it was a very, probably the most active I've ever been in my life, because I was at peak when I was about 16. I was working out twice a day. So in the morning and then in the evenings. Sundays it would be about 3 times, then Mondays would be a day off. And I was running anywhere from 15 to 20 kilometers a day in the winter when the lake was frozen, and in the summer I was paddling about 15 to 20 kilometers a day, plus gym sessions. So I have a very fitness heavy history. Then I got teenagery and surly, and like got a job and quit all sports and went and played video games for a couple of years and did nothing. Then I got job full-time night shift and got an unhealthy caffeine addiction and basically didn't work out for about 4 or 5 years straight. About 2017, I tried to start getting back into things. Towards the end of my kayaking career, I actually got hit by a car pretty bad during one of my runs and got booted into a blackberry bush, so my knees have never quite recovered. It was a hit and run. The driver just booked it.
My god.
So in like the middle of nowhere country roads in Canada, right? So like, so my knee never quite recovered, but that wasn't the reason for me quitting sports or anything. The reason for me quitting sports was I just wasn't as good as other people, and it was at the point where I was like, either you compete with everybody or you quit. So I couldn't compete anymore. So
and also kind of teenager-ish.
Also I didn't get along with anybody that I was in sports with. I think the part of sports that I enjoyed the most was just running up mountains that we have around here. Like Golden Ears was something that we would do a couple times a year. We would just sprint up the mountain, and that's a 24-kilometer round trip up a mountain.
Wow. Yeah. And I would love that.
We used to just like take a fanny pack and a water bottle and just sprint up the mountain. Around 2016, 2017, my night shift job became more non-existent, and I was just streaming full time, and I started working out again. I started going to the gym. At the time, I actually had a gym buddy who I was going to the gym with about 3 times a week after work, because he would work the night shift along with me those 3 days a week, and he'd drive me to the gym because he lived pretty close to me. But he eventually quit the job that we had and went and got a life and went to university and stuff. So when that happened, like that kind of petered out, because like I'm not going to take a 45-minute ride to the bus to the gym and then another ride home. I'm just going to take the quicker bus straight home, right? Yeah. We do have a gym in my building. It got shut down at the beginning of the pandemic and still hasn't opened. Although I don't think I'd use it even if it did open. It was never very clean during a good day. So it's like, I don't know if I trust it. Like I would go in there and sanitize all the equipment before I'd use anything. So now I have this pandemic fad.
All right. So what Blind is showing now is a bundle of rubber training equipment. You know, those rubber bands that you can do different exercises with. Yeah.
So I have those. I have them in 5-pound increments up to 50 pounds. So I have a pretty big bundle of them. I find that they're great for certain things, the resistance bands, but I think that they're terrible for other things. Throughout the pandemic, my exercise has gone up and down. I've had low points mentally, and it's not easy to work out during those points. And also, I got type 1 diabetes, so I've been trying to figure out how to work out with that.
Oh, recently?
That was 2020 that happened at the beginning of the pandemic. Okay. Like 2 months after lockdown started, I got type 1 diabetes.
Perfect.
It does run in the family, like my little sister has it. So, and there's like stories of like certain previous generations of the family that died young. So it's kind of it runs in the family. So it's not too weird. I did get it late, but anyway, so I was diagnosed with that. So I had to figure out how to balance working out around balancing my blood sugars and everything. So I've had like delay after delay after delay over the past few years, but so getting into habits and being consistent with it has been difficult, but at this point, it's about 2 to 3 days a week. I'll pull out the resistance bands and do some work with that. I walk pretty frequently and go on like 4 or 5 long hikes with my dad a year.
All right. But so you come from a pretty solid training background.
I think I have more of a training background than most people expect.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you would describe for me is a pretty hardcore training regime. I recognize it because I was a sports shooter in very high level and very high elite level, and I had those schedules too, when like working out 2-3 times a day. But it's a little bit over the top for most people. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah. So, but you have the foundation you have in movement, and you know what it can be, because what I think is what you get from that is that it's easier for you to know what it can be to be in good shape, and how it can feel to get out there and run and do all this stuff. And a lot of people don't have that foundation. But so now, and also, wow, there's a lot of things I want to ask you here now. But how do you? We start with the diabetes thing. I won't dig into that, but it's how do you figure out how to balance your training? Because I don't know a ton about it, but I know you cannot train as much as people without diabetes. What I understand.
It's tricky because I have type 1 diabetes, right? Which is essentially just your pancreas ceases producing insulin. The more common form of diabetes that most people talk about is type 2, which is insulin resistance, where your body's still producing insulin. The issue is you've just like, due to either poor dietary decisions or genetics, your body has stopped accepting it. And basically fighting back against it. One is an autoimmune disorder where your body attacks your pancreas, and the other one is a resistance to body chemistry, essentially. So what I have is I have to give myself 4 to 5 injections a day of insulin, and that brings me down. So if I end up high, I have an option. Like if my blood glucose is higher than it should be, I have an option. I can either go for a run, or I can give myself an injection. And sometimes it's pouring rain outside, so I give myself the injection. Sometimes I go for the run. And that's kind of the biggest thing there right now. Sometimes I'll have to not do a workout because my blood sugar is too low. Because if I'm too low and then I work out, then an hour later I'll go lower, and that's unhealthy. Or it could put me into a coma.
Exactly.
So it's it kind of restricts not how frequently I can work out, but I have to plan accordingly, and I don't always. So it's made me less consistent. I will say that, but
but that's what I was fishing a little bit about that, because you need to plan it. You cannot just like go out there and run half a marathon and you're fine. You have to plan it. So, I mean, you can, but but you need to know where your sugar levels are, kind of. So that makes it a little bit. But it seems like you figure it out pretty well anyway. So how do you? You said you do the rubber bands frequently, and you do you have any like set schedule for that, or you just do it whenever you feel like it?
These days I don't have much of a set schedule for anything. I don't know. I just kind of do stuff when I feel like doing it. I do alternate days. And like I said, the resistance bands they're good for some things. They're not very good for other things. So like if I'm gonna work out, I alternate days between like just doing a lot of leg exercises, which doesn't use the rubber bands at all. If I'm doing like upper body or back or arms, that uses the resistance bands quite a bit. And if I'm doing like core or abs stuff, then that's not going to use the resistance bands either. So I use them for basically like upper arm, and back stuff.
But do you is it body weights otherwise, or
if I wanted to use weights, I'd have to go to the gym.
So,
I don't own any
so
weights,
it's body weights you're using, like push-ups and sit-ups. And
stuff. Yeah.
All right. So, but do you will you go back to the gym again?
I don't like the gym. I know that like I'm talking like, so I'm going to use the building's gym as an example first. The gym that we have here is fine. Like there's weight sets and whatnot. Like you can like get stuff done. The paid gyms that are public, I don't think I'll ever go to one of those again. I don't like the culture in those things. It's like I know that everybody's like I've been to 3 different gyms in my life. I've done Good Time Fitness, which is a local 24-hour chain. Trevor Linden Fitness, which is the big one, which I had most recently, which is cheap. And then Fitness World, which are like the 3 that were closest to me when I had gym memberships. And it always just ended up costing more money than they claim. And also, I know they say there's no judgments in a gym, and I'm somebody who used to be really fit at one point, right? And I'm all right these days, but I'm not stupidly in shape. I know that they say there's no judgments in gyms. That's not true. Especially like if you're a skinnier dude, like that's absolutely not true. And like probably from the employees there's no judgment, but from other people in the gym, and I don't really like that. I don't enjoy that part of fitness anymore, so I would rather go on a hike than go to the gym.
That's fair. I mean, it's fair.
Snowshoeing or something.
Snowshoeing, I never try that, but I so much want to do that. I have another Canadian friend that always do that, and it's like, I want to do that. But
snowshoes are cheap and mountains are close here, so
but I think what you mentioned there is very common for a lot of people, especially I hear it a lot from gamers and streamers and so on, because they tend to be a little bit introvert, and going to the gym then is hard. And I also have the feeling, like you said there, that it's a bit of judgment when you get in there, especially I'm also a very skinny person because I'm also a long distance runner. I'm an ultra runner, so I'm super skinny, and when I come in there and like, I don't know, it's hard.
If the gym's empty, I'll go to the gym. The problem is getting it when it's empty.
I've been to a gym once actually, and I was like, no, this is not my place. I work out in the woods or at home like you do with body weights and so on.
Yeah.
All right. So, but would you like to? Do you think you will get equipment like kettlebells and stuff like that?
Currently the reason I'm using like the resistance bands, the yoga mat, and that's basically it, is like space constraints, right?
Yeah.
I live in a like 39 square meter apartment. So it's pretty small. 421 square feet for people who speak in Imperial, but it's like this apartment is very small and I don't have a lot of storage space. So all of my workout gear needs to fit in one drawer on a dresser. So I use resistance bands for that reason. And it's an IKEA dresser. So if I put weights in there, it'll probably fall through it.
Probably.
I don't feel like, fixing a dresser. So like unfortunately, I'm very constrained with space at this current time. But if I ended up with a house and some way of like storing equipment, maybe I don't see it as super necessary. Like I don't really aspire to be strong. I just aspire to be limber and not breaking.
That's a good goal.
It's like I don't need to be buff to be fit. I just need to be able to go on a 30-kilometer hike with my dad on a weekend with short notice, and also, be able to walk distances.
Yeah, so healthy.
Yeah, basically.
So talking about that, what goals do you have when it comes to? Do you have any goals when it comes to the exercise and training?
There's a few hikes I want to do that are a bit much right now. Like I mentioned, I used to run up Golden Ears. That's a 24-kilometer round trip hike on riverbeds that are about a 45-degree angle for about 2/3 of it.
All right. On riverbeds. Wow.
Like rocky riverbeds straight up the side of a mountain. And then once you get to the top, the last like 8 kilometers are lovely. It's like a walk in the forest. But like getting up there is a pain. And I haven't been able to do that hike in like 8 or 9 years. So there are certain hikes I want to do again. I really want to do a hike called Mount Frosty, which is a 41-kilometer trip. But in order to do that hike, you have to go all the way up to Manning Park, which is like a 6-hour drive from here. But also once you're up there, you're in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, I don't. So for me, it's like most of my fitness goals are more like wilderness survival goals. Like how do I not die out in the wilderness? And like I want to go backpacking again, and I haven't been able to do that in a very long time. And that's also like kind of more of a diabetes constraint than a fitness constraint. But like that's basically where my goals are at this point, is just like getting my self-care / fitness to a point where I can justify going backpacking again.
I mean, that's really good goals though. They're very clear, very set, and they're very achievable. I think they are really good. So, do you hear bears there? You do have on those hikes?
There was a bear in my part of town a couple weeks ago that just like wandered in, and there was like news posts on the local subreddit saying they're trying to tranquilize it. So yes, we definitely have bears.
We definitely have bears. So the friend I said before with the snowshoeing, they have like a law that you need to take up your apples and stuff to fall down through the trees, otherwise you get crazy fined, because otherwise the bears will come into town. So I was like, okay.
That makes sense. I mean,
not to me, but to you guys.
Well, here it's like we got bears, mountain lions, wolves, coyotes. The only thing that we don't really have is moose, because those are further north. But But the outside is scary and it wants to kill you.
It does. I mean, it's we say it as a joke, but it's also a little bit true, because it can be kind of harsh out there. I'm very much an outdoors person, so I'm out there all the time, but don't have any of those like dangerous animals. We have stray wolves now and then, but we have mooses now and then, but we have like pretty big reindeers or deers and stuff.
It's pretty funny. I go hiking with my friend Kevin sometimes in the summer, and he's not very fit, and he's also not that much of an outdoors person, and he's very, very paranoid about large animals, and he's just like going around with this big hunting knife for some reason, and like all this like weird gear that you do not need to bring into a park. And I'm just like, all right, so there's black bears, maybe a grizzly, and like coyotes, and maybe a mountain lion, and I just have a can with a rock in it. that I just put in my backpack that just makes
Yeah.
a rattling noise. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, they'll never come near us. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. That's the best way.
Never have problems. Never have problems.
No.
As long as you just make weird sounds, they'll leave you alone.
Yeah, they're super shy, so they, of course. But that's good. That's I like those goals, to be able to do those hikes that you want to do. Are you getting towards those goals? Are you working to those actively?
Little bit by little bit. I mean, like this past winter was when I got back into snowshoeing.
Yeah.
It had been a couple years. I own a pair of snowshoes now, pretty
Nice.
fancy ones, which made my aunt jealous. So I
Perfect.
went snowshoeing like 8 times last winter.
All right.
And because like for me, it's literally just a $10 shuttle bus, which just takes me to the mountains. So it's not exactly, it's like 3 stops on the cheap train and then the $10 shuttle bus. It's free to go up. It's $10 to come back. So they'll leave you up there if you really want. So that's kind of the thing that I achieved this past winter, was just getting back into that.
Mm-hmm.
We got our time from the base of Mount Seymour all the way up to the second peak from about 5 hours the first time we did it to an hour and a half by the last time we did it.
Oh, wow, that's a big difference.
We did find a bunch of shortcuts, so instead of taking the long route around through the trees, we just walked straight up the mountain.
All right.
But like it's a lot harder to do that. It's pretty strenuous walking
because it's steeper, right?
Yeah, it's less of a walk in the woods and more of a hike. Like I was actually sore by the end of it, and not because we rolled down it, but that's a different subject.
I mean,
but yeah,
we love a story here, so.
I mean, obviously, when you get to the top of a mountain, what way do you take down? Do you slide down the slope, or do you walk back down the trail? No, you take your snowshoes off and you sit on your butt and you go wee.
Yes, I've done that a number of times. It's amazing. Put on your rain pants. What do you call them?
Yeah.
The waterproof pants, and then you just like on your butt.
Yeah, just straight down. We were talking about bringing those like rolling plastic mats that people use as sleds.
Yeah.
We bought a couple of those the last few times we went up, and we just like put those in our backpacks.
Oh my God.
So like we get to the top of the hill, we pull out sled. People would be like looking at us, they're like, "What are you doing? Going down the mountain?
What could possibly go wrong?"
What could go wrong? No,
Exactly.
it's not that bad. It's just like 200 meters at a time. Just don't go anywhere near the cliffs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. There's plenty of warnings. You got plenty of time to bail.
Yeah, and I love this because you need to put some enjoyment and fun stuff into your exercise. So it's not just like training and exercise in a tedious way, but you put something fun into it also. I love that approach to it very much. Do you do any running, or you cannot do it at all with your knees?
I avoid running these days, and not because I don't like it. I used to do quite a bit of, back when I did go to the gym, a large portion of my time was just spent on the treadmill. I think for me, I now have, I don't know if it's an irrational or irrational fear of cars now after getting hit. So I don't really like running on roads. I like trail running, and there are some parks around here where it's all right for trail running, but they're pretty short loops. And I'm a low attention span runner, and I need multiple routes to run. So if I'm just doing the same lap every day, it's like I'd rather go do anything else.
You lose interest.
I lose interest pretty quickly. So I guess that's just because I'm spoiled. Like a lot of people just run on a track, which is the most mind-numbingly boring thing you could possibly do, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to running. Running is probably the least common thing I'll do these days. Like I'll go on long walks. I'd much rather go on a long walk than go on a run.
That's fair.
But it's not really the same thing. You don't get quite the same amount of cardio out of going on a long walk.
True. So that was actually something I was to ask you about, because you're doing the resistant bands, and you're doing some body weight exercises, and you're taking the walks. But do you do any cardio if you're not running?
I do in-place cardio.
Okay, so like
jumping
running, jacks,
running on the spot, jumping jacks, burpees, that stuff.
Yeah, burpees.
Yeah.
Such a good thing, but I hate them.
Everybody does. They're terrible. So yeah, I do that sort of stuff. Like if I'm doing a resistance band set, and it's either a lighter day or I feel like I have extra energy, I'll do like 20 minutes of that. which it gets me by. Like I can run. Like if I need to, if someone tells me, Greg, tomorrow you're going to go run the Sun Run, which is the 10-kilometer charity run, I could do it. I'd be dead by the end of it, but I could do it.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
Last time I did that was 2018.
Hmm?
Was the last time I did the Sun Run? So it's been a while. But
it's not too long ago though. But it's still some years.
I was pretty slow by the end of it though. I was like power walking by the end of it.
Yeah, but that's fair.
Yeah,
that's okay.
I could still do it.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice. So you said that you had a mentally low period not long ago, and where you like got away from the training and exercising a little bit. Mm-hmm. How did you get back to it? What did you do to motivate yourself to get back to it?
So I have like 2 modes of brain, and I don't know how common this is because I don't know how other people's brains work, but I'm either extremely depressed and debilitated and unable to get anything done, or I'm hyper focused and productive. I was in a pretty bad bouncing around period of depression for the last like 3 years. So from, I don't know, late 2019 until about 3 months ago was really bad. And it's still not great, but at this point I'm a little bit more focused. And when the focus comes back, it's easier to just get back into habits of things. So I don't really motivate myself. It's like, all right, I'm okay again. Let's work out. And so I don't really have a motivation structure. It's just something that happens sometimes.
Okay. But can you see it happen? Just like, okay, now it's done. No, and I'm doing it. Or it's just a feeling that gets in your body. It's like, okay, now I can do it.
Like a switch flips and it's like, all right, it's time.
Oh, right. It's like I never heard of that, I think. It's always a gradual thing, but it's like
it's never a gradual thing for me. It's all or nothing.
That's interesting. And I mean, really good. But it's interesting.
I don't know if it's good. I think it means that my brain's broken.
No, I don't think so. But it's, I mean, but do you try when you are in those lower periods? Do you try to work out, or it's not possible for you to do it?
When I'm in a low period, the only thing that I really do for exercise is walks.
Yeah.
Just get out of the apartment. Go somewhere else. Walk away. Just walk outside and walk a straight line and keep walking. Mm-hmm. Like when I was really, really depressed last year at one point, in the middle of winter too, which is weird. I walked from here to Commercial Broadway and back. And without giving up my location, that's about 21 kilometers.
Right.
So
that's a good walk.
From my apartment all the way down to the river, up and over the bridge, all the way along like the side of the highway, over the other bridge, back into downtown, wandered around downtown a bit, and then all the way back home, which is like a 35-minute train ride. So I was out for like 8 hours, and I'll just do that some days. Yeah, I don't know.
That's super good training though, or super good exercise, I should say.
Yeah, it works. It also gets me out of the house for 12 hours, which is what I actually need.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you need most often when you're depressed or in a low point. But so, is that something is that easy for you? Because I know that when some people goes into those depressional periods, it's very hard for them to get out of there. Getting out of the bed sometimes. But
I mean, I understand all of that, and I have all of those issues too. I don't know how I got out or how I get out. It's just sometimes I'm not, sometimes I am.
All right. So you don't have a strategy, or you don't know when it works or not. Some days you just go out there, and some days you don't.
If I understood how like the mental fluctuations in my brain worked, my life would be a lot easier.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's just some months I'm great, some months I'm not. I know I tend to be more depressed in the early summer, which is weird that I'm not right now, but
you got it early this year.
Maybe. I don't know. I think I had it a lot for a couple of years, and this year's been a little bit better so far. I don't know why, but
Yeah,
hopefully it doesn't come back soon.
Yeah, hopefully. But that's good that you get out and walk at least, because I mean, exercise is what we get prescribed for stress and depression and anxiety these days, and which is a good thing. So that's good. So if you I mean, the reason, one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why I started this podcast was because I'm a running coach and coaching people in exercising in general. But I very often get the question from gamers and streamers, how do you do to keep motivated, and how do you get started? How do you know what to do? Do you have any thoughts or recommendations or something like that for a streamer or a gamer who is not used to exercise, maybe? To
find friends to join you.
Mm-hmm.
Have people that are around your level that'll work out with you. And this doesn't need to be people that you know in person. This can be somebody that you know online. Like you can just say, all right, like there's a Discord that I'm in for another podcast. It's a private Patreon Discord, but they have a room called Get Up and Run. And they also have another room called Running is for Dicks, because one of them really likes running and the other one hates running. So the Get Up and Run room is like his motivation, and then the other room is for, let's like do yoga and stuff.
That's perfect.
And essentially it's like they have workout days where they just at everybody who frequent those rooms and say, all right guys, it's time to work out today. You got to work out today. And so like you can, it doesn't necessarily need to be somebody that you know in person. It could just be somebody that you know online. But find a friend that will either go to the gym with you, will go on walks with you, will go on hikes with you, will go be active with you. Like exercise for me isn't necessarily just about, oh, I do leg day and I do back day and I do like arms day and I do cardio day. Like that's, don't worry about that. To me, like exercising is just being active, and that can be going to a garden and planting potatoes for 4 hours, which is what I did yesterday, or it can be going on a hike, or it can be just going on a long walk, or to join a yoga class. It doesn't need to be this very strict definition of exercise that I think scares a lot of people away. It can be fun, and you can just go be active.
Yeah. So just find something you like and then do that, as long as it's movement. And
find something that you like doing that is exercise adjacent, and then everything else gets easier to do. And if you can have a friend that, or a group of people that can inspire you to help do that, it'll only get easier. I mean, I think me saying like find somebody on Discord to talk to egg you on is like my dad's equivalent of saying go join a running club, because those don't exist here anymore. But it's like find like your equivalent of either a group of people or a forum, like even things like the Swole Acceptance subreddit, which is just memes about working out. But even subreddits like that, like Arnold Schwarzenegger posts in that subreddit kind of frequently. So it's like you can find a group of people to help you be motivated to go be active. And for me, it's less of a go work out and more of, because that's hard for people. It's hard for me to, if someone tells me to go work out, my response is no. But if you say go be active, it's like, all right, where are we going? Let's go do something fun. Right? Because like for some people, like being active could be going kayaking, and that's great. Who doesn't want to go kayaking, right?
I want to.
So it's find something that works for you, and then everything else gets easier to achieve once you get that ball rolling.
It's like what we just said about like hiking up a hill and then have a piece of plastic with you and go down. That's
slide down.
It's fantastic exercise. And as you said, now planting potatoes for 4 hours, I did that for half an hour during lunch today. It's a good exercise.
Blisters on my thumbs.
It's a good exercise. So, but that's a really, really good advice. And I know Tutti Kiri, who you know, I had an interview with her, and she does that with her sister sometimes. They get together on Discord and they just mute themselves, do the exercise, and then they like, oh my God, this was hard, never do this again, or oh wow, this was good. And it's like they pushing each other in that way. So it's a really good advice. And to have someone to hold you accountable for it, like so that's a really good one. Do you use any resources like apps or YouTube channels or anything like that for your exercises?
I think I just have this unfair advantage of I had exercises drilled into my brain by Polish coaches for 6 years. So for me, it kind of all just floats around in my head. So I'm unfortunately kind of useless when it comes to that sort of thing. Every now and again, I'll go to YouTube and just look up, like, nobody in particular, but I'll just look up like quick 20-minute exercises.
Yeah.
Just to like find things, like if I need to do cardio workouts or something, I'll just quick cardio workout. Bam, let's see what I can get.
All right.
And if I can find something that's even remotely like okay, I know all those exercises, that makes sense in my brain, I'll go do that.
Yeah.
Like if I just can't think of what to do, I'll do that sometimes. Like I'll use it as like an ideas inspiration thing, but that's about the most that I'll use the internet for exercise.
So get the motivation or inspiration to do a program or something. I mean, that's fair. You have the foundation, like the Polish trainers. My God, they are. I had a from the Czech Republic gym teacher in school. My God, we got to work.
I had Christoph, Johnny, Gabriel, and Johnny was and Stefan, and there was one other who I'm blanking on the name of. But Johnny was a real character. He listened to both kinds of music. He listened to ABBA and hard bass. And he drove a Honda Civic from like 1991 or something. And it sagged at the back because of all the bass speakers he had in the back.
Oh my God.
And you could hear him from about 3 kilometers away. It's like, oh, Johnny's coming here. He's like the Polish version of the My Summer Car dude, but like in real life.
That's amazing.
Something special.
Wow.
Yeah. An Olympic canoeer too.
That's great. All right. So, but you at least use YouTube sometimes for inspiration to get like your mind going on what all of those, like which of all those exercises you have floating around in your head you could use to put together. So that's really good.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up a little bit, I have 2 questions for you, and those 2 are, and everybody gets those questions. The first one is, which is your favorite exercise? And the other one is, which is your favorite game? And I know it's an unfair question, but you can only pick one.
Well, my favorite game is Portal.
Portal
1.
How come? You can motivate it a little bit if you want to.
It's my favorite game because it came out at the perfect time, and I finished it in one day and it blew my mind, and then I beat it 4 more times in like the same week.
Oh wow.
I don't know. I really, really, really like that game.
Right, that's fair.
It's my favorite game. And my favorite exercise, I really like doing ankle exercises, like standing on your tippy toes and like lifting up and down with weights. That's probably my favorite one, because I don't get to do that one very often because you really need like a dumbbell to do that. Or sandbag or a medicine ball or something.
How come? I don't understand what you mean. Why do you need that to do them?
Because my ankles, I guess, are strong enough that I don't get any. I hold a jug of milk when I do it at home.
Yeah.
Right. Like I need to fill something up with a liquid and do that, because like I don't get anything out of it if I don't use a weight.
So you need a weight for all right.
Because I guess my ankles are too strong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the snowshoeing and all the hiking and stuff. I get that.
Not to like bring us back to a previous subject or anything, but the one tip I do have is stretch. Maybe
you can
we'll like
elaborate.
Use YouTube videos for that. Look up stretching regimens on YouTube, because there's a lot of things that I think a lot of people don't ever think about when it comes to stretching. It's like, like you do need to stretch before and after things, and you need to warm up, otherwise you will hurt yourself, especially if you're lifting weights.
Yeah, warming up is like, you need to do that. Stretching, I don't do that always, but I do believe you need it. Do you have? Can you elaborate? You are allowed to elaborate a little bit if you want to. Why you're so thorough on that? You like
on stretching?
Yeah.
Because if you don't stretch, your muscles tighten up, and if your muscles tighten up, then they don't relax after you're done working out the way they're supposed to. And if they don't relax the way they're supposed to, instead of stretching and breaking and becoming bigger the way muscles are supposed to, they become knots. And when you get knots in your muscles, then you get pain. And when you get pain, then you don't want to work out because you hurt.
Yes, that's a very good very short, very good timeline on what's happening if you don't do it.
Yeah, because like the reason your muscles hurt after working out is because it pulls like the little connective tissues apart, and then those heal back together, and you get bigger muscles.
Yeah,
and you want them to heal right. You don't want them to heal wrong. If you don't stretch, they heal wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have to fix that later, and that's even worse than stretching.
Yeah, that absolutely. It's also very hard to fix afterwards. That's a very good advice. Very good advice. All right. So, do you have any last words? Well, you got your last word here now. Go stretch, people.
Go stretch.
Yeah. But do you have anything else you want to add that you feel that you have missed when it comes to exercises and training for streamers and gamers and people sit still a lot?
Okay. So this might be a random anecdote. I have a lot of vices. I drink. I smoke. I'm not generally good at taking care of myself. I have had an unhealthy caffeine addiction for a large portion of my life. I'm at a point now where caffeine is down to like 2 cups of coffee a day, which is like not bad. That's fine. But like there has been points where it was like upwards of like 3-4 energy drinks a day and caffeine pills. So like I've been in the lowest point of unhealth you can possibly be in my entire life, and I've also like pulled out of that, and just I think kind of a lot of people look at their bad habits and go, well, this is all I got.
Yeah,
it's not all you got. You can have bad habits and good habits and have like a balance between them.
Yeah.
Everybody has vices, and don't let them hold you back. Enjoy your vices. That's the point of them.
Yeah, it's the point of them. Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to, if you want to smoke substances, enjoy it, and then go take care of yourself. Don't just fall into the substances. Don't just drink alcohol. Don't just, binge caffeine and sugar. Have vices, enjoy your vices, but balance those vices with something that's actually good for you.
To take care of yourself. I mean, that's fair. It's not, don't be too hard on yourself, because I think that's what a lot of people do. They see that they have those they drink, they smoke or whatever it is, and then they just go hard on themselves. But you can actually balance it up as good as you can.
Do what you can.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect, but
absolutely not. That's a really good last words. Blind, thank you so much for talking to me. It's been great to listen to you. And
well, it's been fun to chat.
I hope we talk soon again.
Yeah. Till next time.
Yes. Take care of yourself.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of ActiveCast. If you want to know more about the topic we talked about, don't be shy to post a comment on our YouTube channel. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. You can also send your questions directly to ActiveCast through Twitter or mail to activecastpod@gmail.com or directly to BlindIRL. You find links and addresses in the show notes and in the description of the episode on YouTube. I would appreciate it a lot if you like, rate, and share the podcast wherever you listen to it. That helps the podcast greatly. And you can also just share it with friends and families. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you again in 2 weeks.